All right, welcome back, crime fighters, for the final 2015 edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. I'm your host, Chris Wright, along with John Garlick from the Calhoun County Sheriff's Office. Good to see you, John.
Good to be here. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, and we are ready to close out 2015 with a bang. We had several arrests this week.
We did. The count is now, I think we had like 6 arrests. There it are. The count is 3,565 people put away since we started this show. And some of them, those 6 people, get to end the year. And a wonderful Christmas. They were indoors, out of the rain.
There you go.
They're going to
look on the bright side.
Yeah, so their 2016 for a lot of these people is going to be a great year. They're going to be able to bond out and have their fair trial and have the opportunity to change their lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk a little bit about the end of the year, because I know this is a time that is very dangerous. A lot of people enjoy celebrating New Year's. Most of us do. I plan on doing some celebrating myself.
I've heard about your party.
I'll do it at somebody else's house so they get to clean up the mess.
Good.
But we definitely want to be careful. Even if we're not part of the big celebration, we need to be careful of people who are, because not everybody celebrates responsibly.
That's correct. Unfortunately, people get to partying, they drink a lot, and then they have to drive home, sometimes from a fairly great distance, and drinking a lot, being tired on the road, very, very dangerous for them and for everybody around them, because also on the road, you have families that mom and dad and the kids, they've been over to some neighbor's house, watched the ball drop, and now they're driving home.
Game.
Right, and now they're driving home, and they've got to be hyper vigilant. There's going to be drunk drivers on the road. We know this. We've got people out watching for it, but still, a driver has to be aware of what's going on.
And I suspect that we may have this year an even bigger challenge than in other years because of the way the football situation works out. We've got Alabama playing in the semifinal game. I think kickoff is at 7 o'clock Central Time, so they'll be wrapping up that game around 11 o'clock. You'll probably have a lot of people who have been watching the game, drinking, and now, okay, they're going to move on to where they're going to celebrate the new year. So they're on the road there between 11 and 12 trying to get to that place quickly. That could be a recipe for disaster.
Oh, undoubtedly. And normally even on any given night, particularly on the weekend, after you get around midnight, there's a lot of people on the road that are less than alert because of what they've been doing. So anybody who's out at that hour, particularly those people who normally aren't driving around at 1 o'clock in the morning, they need to be aware it's a different world, and please just be hyper vigilant on the road. Watch out for the other drivers, and if you're one of those that are going to party and drink, find somebody else to drive home.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have the first half of this week's lineup, and on the show later on today, we'll be talking about a series of crimes. We've got lots of crimes involving vehicles today on the show, so we will be right back on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to wash my camo so I'm ready for hunting season.
Get that stuff out of my washer. You should take it to a laundromat.
There isn't any good laundries around here.
Sure there is. Washington Aniston Coin Laundry on Quintard across from Walgreens and beside the Social Security office.
They have a washer that can handle a real man's jacket?
They have the biggest washers and dryers around, and you can get all your stuff finished within an hour.
Awesome. I'm headed to Washington Aniston Coin Laundry at 829 Quintard, and then I can take the rest of the day to get my other gear ready.
Or maybe you can finish the yard work.
Yeah, right after I sight my bow.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
a crackhead, drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak, a wretch like me.
I once was
homeless,
broken, sad,
just lost.
But now I am
sober, happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
Hi, I'm Katina Houston Stroud with Family Links, and this is the Family Tip of the Week. I recently read a statistic that stated that only about a quarter of New Year's resolutions are kept. Why do so few resolutions change into a habit? What are the obstacles? Whenever you're trying to change a behavior, a common trap is to fall into an all or nothing mindset. This is the thinking that goes, well, I already failed one test, there goes the rest of the semester, or my child was doing really well learning to speak respectfully, but tonight he lost it. I'm a failure as a parent. So what are the ways that you can combat this type of thinking and move forward in a positive direction when you encounter a setback? Number one, use short-term incentives to stay motivated. I encourage the use of daily motivators to keep on track with behavior change. It's going to be more helpful to reward progress, not perfection. For example, if your ultimate goal is to have your son do his homework every day without asking him to complete it, reward him for each day he does his homework without reminders instead of waiting to recognize him at the end of the semester. Number two, have specific measurable benchmarks. What does success towards your goal look like? I advise people that the more precise they can be in defining achievement, the better. Number three, try positive self-talk. This is a big one. A big part of the all or nothing thinking is defining yourself as not good enough or even a failure if you don't achieve your goal that day or that week. Remember, you can always try again with a fresh start. Think of something positive to say back to that inner voice who is trying to convince you otherwise, such as, tomorrow is a new day, these are my child's choices, not mine, or I'm doing the best I can. And lastly, plan for failure. Chances are you're not going to be perfect at all times in achieving your goal. As we all know, it's almost unheard of to completely turn around an ingrained behavior immediately without some missteps. I read a study recently that stated that people who do the best at making and maintaining behavior changes actually plan for what they'll do if things don't go perfectly. So make a plan for what you'll do if things don't go as planned. What is your plan B or C or D for that matter? As our thoughts turn to resolutions this time of year, it's important to remember that the key to lasting behavior change is taking those small daily steps to work toward a long-term goal, rather than expecting a drastic change overnight. 2 steps forward, 1 step back isn't failure, it's a cha-cha. I think this is an important message to keep in mind as we continue in this dance called parenting. For more tips, please contact Family Links at 256-820-5911 and have a Happy New Year.
Welcome to this week's edition of Calhoun County's Most Wanted. First up in our lineup this week, Andre Crook. Mr. Crook, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for probation violation on felony domestic violence, 3rd assault. This is Edward O'Neill. Mr. O'Neill, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted for probation violation on receiving stolen property, 2nd. Take a look at Jerome Howard. Mr. Howard, last known to be living in Anniston. He's wanted on probation violation for possession and receipt of a controlled substance. And we'd like you to take a look at Trey Anderson. Mr. Anderson, last known to be living in Atlanta, Georgia. He's wanted for probation violation on possession of a forged instrument, 1st. And meet Samantha Duncan. Miss Duncan, last known to be living in Oxford. She's wanted for failure to appear on domestic violence, 3rd harassment. And this is Tia Gates. Miss Gates, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to pay on writing a lot of multiple worthless checks. And meet Mary Gordon. Miss Gordon, last known to be living in Scottsboro, she's also wanted for writing multiple worthless checks. And last up for the first half of our lineup, Anita Henniger. Miss Henniger, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to pay on possession of a forged instrument, 3rd. And that's it for the first half of our lineup. Stay tuned for the second half later in the show.
More bad guys for you here in just a few minutes, but right now we're joined by one of the good guys. Shannon Page from the Calhoun County and Cleveland County District Attorney's Office is here with us. Good to see you, Shannon.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
And John, I know you're fully aware of this, but a lot of the viewers may not be. We've got some changes coming up in the new year concerning what is and is not a felony and how those things are handled.
Oh yeah, big changes, and glad Shannon's here to explain it to us, because it's complicated and it's going to make everybody's lives a little bit different.
Yeah, when they get together down in Montgomery, they're probably always thinking, how can we make the district attorney's life easier, right?
That's exactly
That's what they're thinking.
I think you're right.
That and remodeling a beach house, that's what they're thinking.
We're not going to get into that, but okay. So the changes will take effect when?
January the 30th.
January 30th, all right. And what is going to change if I'm a normal law-abiding citizen? How am I going to be affected by the changes?
Well, if you're a normal law-abiding citizen, hopefully you won't be. But if I could give a little bit of background as to why these changes are taking place. our state prison system is designed, depending on who you talk to, is designed to house roughly 13,000 people, 13,000 inmates. And right now we're somewhere around 25,000 actual capacity.
So that's like Christmas time. We all had family coming in from all over, and somebody's sleeping on a bed and somebody's not.
That's right, lots of people on the couch. At some point, the federal government will intervene, the Department of Justice will come in, and they'll actually reduce your prison population for you. Their arbitrary number that they've picked apparently out of the air is 137.5%. If you're over 137.5% capacity, they are just any day now they're going to come in and help you solve your problem. So basically, the options that we had in Alabama were to build more prisons, to let the federal government come in and clean out our prisons that we already have, or to try to address it ourselves to reduce the population.
You know, we always love it when the federal government helps us with things, don't we?
Right.
It always gets done the way we want it, doesn't it, John?
Of course it does. It's a terribly efficient way to do things. Yeah.
I'm not going to be here bashing the federal government or the Alabama government, but there is a real problem, a lot of debate on how to solve that problem, but a decision has been made on at least one way to attack the problem. And now your office, the district attorney's office, has got to figure out how that affects trials and everything going forward here in Calhoun County and Cleveland County as well.
That's correct. What they've done basically is they've taken the lower level drug offenses and property crimes, and they've created a new felony classification. We used to have Class A, Class B, and Class C felonies. Well, now we have a Class D felony. And so now basically if you're charged with possession of cocaine, methamphetamine, any controlled substance, that's a Class D felony. If you're charged with possession of marijuana, in some circumstances, that's a Class D felony. And what that does, basically, we have sentencing guidelines that we have to follow. And those guidelines recommend a sentencing range of so many months to so many months. And then they also recommend whether you go to prison or you're on some form of supervised release. Under the new law, all Class D felony convictions will be a supervised release recommendation.
So even though it's a felony, and we always are taught the word felony means it's serious. That's the way I always hear. A felony, okay, that's something serious. I can get in some real trouble if it's a felony. But what you're saying is this classification of felony, I'm specifically excluded from actually serving time in jail.
That's right. You'll be on a form of supervised release, be it through community corrections, through probation, and that's where, that's another thing that this new crime bill does. It's going to expand probation and parole. There'll be more probation and parole officers added, and it's going to place more of an emphasis on community corrections as opposed to actual prison time.
Obviously, it would have cost a lot of money to build new prisons to raise the capacity, but this isn't going to be free either, is it?
It's not. The estimates to build the number of prisons that we would have required were somewhere around $400 million just to build the prisons, plus another $100 million a year to staff them and operate them. And they're estimating that this new system that we're going to be following, adding the probation and parole and the community corrections, is going to be somewhere around $25 million. So if this works, it's going to save us money.
So basically the low-level drug charges, so when people have been talking throughout the United States, we ought to legalize some of these drugs, this essentially minimizes the punishment for drug possession and those kinds of things.
It does.
But it also, if somebody breaks into my house while I'm on vacation, is that also a Class D felony?
Burglary is not.
Okay.
Burglary third degree, which is similar to what you're talking about, I understand that's going to remain a Class C felony. The lower level property offenses of theft, receiving stolen property, forgery, the lower levels of those will become Class D felonies.
All right, so we want to talk more about this. We need to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this, and we'll have the second half of this week's lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
Amazing grace.
How sweet the sound that saved
A crackhead, drug addict, alcoholic, meth freak, a wretch like me.
I once was.
Homeless,
Broken. Sad.
just lost. But now I am sober.
Happy.
I'm found. Was blind, but now I see.
Every day, shattered lives are restored thanks to the goods you donate to the Salvation Army.
AOD Federal Credit Union. You already know their friendly staff and great loan products. So here's reason number 8 to choose AOD FCU, a new all-platinum Visa credit card. Call 1-800-637-0299 or visit AODFCU.com to start earning 1% cash back on purchases. Your good credit earns you a better rate. A new Platinum Visa card. Another reason you belong at AOD Federal Credit Union.
And welcome to the second half of our lineup. First up this half, Alicia Porter. Miss Porter, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for failure to appear on theft of property third and giving false name to law enforcement. And take a look at Gerald Camp. Mr. Camp, last known to be living in Oxford, he's wanted for probation revocation on use and possession of drug paraphernalia. And this is Jonathan Lucas. Mr. Lucas, last known to be living in Anniston, he's wanted on probation revocation for theft by deception third. Take a look at Megan Kennedy. Miss Kennedy, last known to be living in Oxford, she's wanted on probation revocation for possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting arrest. And meet Ashley Shears. Miss Shears, last known to be living in Anniston, she's wanted for probation violation on theft of property second. Take a look at Nathan Johnson. Mr. Johnson, last known to be living in Jacksonville, he's wanted on failure to pay child support, the face of a deadbeat dad. And last up in our lineup this week, Jesus Silva. Mr. Silva, last known to be living in Alexandria, he's wanted for probation violation on trafficking in cocaine. And that's it for our lineup this week. If you have any information on the whereabouts of these folks, please give us a call at Crime Stoppers, 256-238-1414.
All right, the Crime Stoppers segment of the show coming up in just a few minutes. We've got several crimes involving vehicles this week that we're going to talk about. But right now, Shannon Page is with us from the District Attorney's Office talking about some new changes in the felony laws in Alabama that will take effect during the month of January in the new year. And Shannon, it's very complicated. A lot of people in law enforcement still don't completely understand what's going on. But of course, the arresting officers don't necessarily need to know as much about how it's handled. They just need to get them in so that the DA's office can prosecute properly. So, John, you were telling me that there's going to be a system of dips and dunks. What does that mean, or should Shannon answer that?
Well, Shannon's probably the best one to answer that, but basically you're going to be arrested if you're convicted of a Class D felony. You're not going to go to jail, you're not going to go to prison, you'll be out and reporting to a community corrections officer, and you have a certain number of events that you're going to have to do, and if you don't meet those criteria, you could get dipped or dunked.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. You get 3 Class D felonies. It's going to be kind of graduated like that. And each individual will get 3 chances, basically, 3 bites at the apple with a Class D felony. On the 4th one, it's automatically a Class C felony, which is another story entirely. So they're going to get more chances on that end, and then they're also going to get more chances while they're actually on probation than they used to. Someone who was on probation, if they committed a new offense or violated the terms of their probation, one of our judges could revoke their probation and send them to prison. Well, this new law has taken some of that discretion away from our judges. They're not automatically now able to revoke them and send them to prison to serve the remainder of their sentence. I guess dunks and dips.
Yeah, you'll get
that John referred to.
You violate some rule of your probation, and your probation officer can then send you to the county jail for a quick dip, which could be 30 to 45 days, or a dunk, which could be upwards of 90 days, and you get, I guess, 3 opportunities to be dipped and or dunked before then the probation officer can recommend to the judge that they revoke you. And all that short amount of jail time is happening at the county jail, not the state prison. And that's another cost savings, because when they come to the county jail, the state's not giving the county sheriffs any money to house these folks.
Cost savings for somebody.
Right.
It's not for the Calhoun County.
To the citizens of Calhoun County, we're going to be spending more money housing state felons who have been convicted of a felony. Housing state felons locally is going to cost the county residents more money, but not the state. State budget reduced, county budget increased.
Robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah, and it's from a behavior standpoint, it's an interesting philosophy. The idea is that we give you a quick, short time out. You get convicted, you go, wow, I didn't go to prison, but you got to do these criteria. You mess up, you don't show up for an appointment, you take a drug screen, and you fail it. Oh, you're going to jail for 40 days. Wow, okay, I'm going to do better next time. And so you learn that, and the theory is that you will be less likely to be arrested. The other side of that behavior theory is that bad behavior left uncorrected or perceived to be uncorrected gets worse. So these folks that have been convicted of these felonies would be, wow, I dodged a bullet there, I didn't have to go to prison, and they can do worse behavior then before they end up in prison. So I'm concerned either, could be good, could be bad.
From the perspective of the DA's office, does this give you less power to correct someone's bad behavior, do you think? Or
It does. They have slowly taken some of our teeth away on that end since I came to work at the DA's office with the sentencing guidelines, and then now this new law is going to really remove some of the power that we have to punish people for wrongdoing.
Yeah, so, and Shannon already told us that a burglary, someone breaks into your house while you're gone, that's going to be a Class C. What about they break into your car and steal your CD player?
That's going to be one of the offenses that falls under a Class D felony now.
Class D. So, and they steal your lawnmower out of your yard.
So the way I understand it, that happens the first time, they're not going to be going to jail. But if it happens more than 3 times, they will be going to jail.
That's right.
Okay. So just remember, we don't care about the next victim.
Would those things say if you broke into 3 cars or 4 cars and then you got caught, are you charged with all 4 of those and now it's a Class C, or?
It would all fall into one sentencing event. That would be one ongoing stream of criminal activity. All those cases would be most likely handled all at once, and that would just count as one.
All right, well, I'm glad you get to figure all this out instead of me. And we do appreciate you being out there to take care of things. And I know that not only dealing with the criminals, but at the DA's office, you do a good job of working on taking care of the victims as well, and we appreciate that. And John, you and everybody else out in uniform on the streets.
Yep, thank you.
All right, well, safety for all of you here in the new year.
Yes, hypervigilance.
All right, and Shannon, thank you for taking time to come on the show and explain this to us the best that you could.
Thank you, glad to be here.
All right. We will be back in just a few moments with our Crazy Criminal of the Week on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.
The Ford brand has always brought you impressive style and legendary quality, and Sonny King Ford brings you the lowest price and the largest inventory, new or pre-owned. The new 2015 F-150 gets the best gas mileage of any truck without giving up its powerful towing capacity. The iconic new 2015 Mustang, with its classic pony car looks and hunkered down stance, preserves a legacy that defines American motoring. For over 93 years, Sonny King Ford, for the best cars and best price.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to wash my camo so I'm ready for hunting season.
Get that stuff out of my washer. You should take it to a laundromat.
There isn't any good laundries around here.
Sure there is. Washington Anderson Coin Laundry on Quintard across from Walgreens and beside the Social Security office.
They have a washer that can handle a real man's jacket?
They have the biggest washers and dryers around, and you can get all your stuff finished within an hour.
Awesome. I'm headed to Washington Anderson Coin Laundry at 829 Quintard, and then I can take the rest of the day to get my other gear ready.
Or maybe you can finish the yard work.
Yeah, right after I sight my bow.
Your word is rigmarole.
Can you define it?
A long, complicated, and annoying process.
Can you use it in a sentence?
The last time I tried to buy a car, I just got a big load of rigmarole.
Well, you should have gone to Jacksonville Auto Sales.
Jacksonville Auto Sales across from Walmart in Jacksonville, or find us on the web at jascars.com. Remember, Jacksonville Auto Sales, home of the no rigmarole deal.
And welcome to the Crime Stoppers portion of our show, where we ask you to put on your deer stalkers and help us with these cases. First up on your caseload this week, on December 21st, a blue Ford Expedition was stolen from this residence on Choccolocco Road in Anniston. On December 23rd, the vehicle was recovered from the parking lot of Books A Million in Oxford. And on December 26th, this red Nissan truck was stolen from a residence on Gilbert's Ferry Road in Ohatchee. And sometime between December 22nd and December 28th, this Oldsmobile Alero was broken into. The vehicle was broken down on I-20 near mile marker 179 in Oxford. They got away with a CD player. And sometime between December 1st and December 24th, a black Camaro was broken into. The vehicle was parked at a residence on Possum Trot Road in Piedmont. They got away with a firearm. And on December 20th, or sometime between December 20th and December 22nd, an outbuilding located on Possum Trot Road in Piedmont was broken into. They got away with an air compressor and assorted Snap-on tools. And that's it for our Crime Stoppers this week. If you have any information on these cases, and we hope you do, please give Crime Stoppers a call at 256-238-1414. Remember, we want your information and not your name.
Stupid! You're so stupid!
All right, our crazy criminal of the week is Santos Vasquez Hernandez.
Santos Hernandez.
He was reported to be unresponsive, and police came out to check on him.
Okay.
And he appeared as though he may have been under the influence of some drugs or alcohol. They asked him for some identification after he was responsive again. Yes.
Good plan.
Instead of taking out his ID and handing the officers his ID, he just went ahead and handed them his entire wallet.
Okay.
Which contained his ID and a joint.
Okay. little marijuana in there. He just wanted someone to party with him.
I think this would probably, if it was here in Alabama, under the new guidelines, be a Class D.
Yes.
But still, not a good idea. Well, okay, go ahead. Sure, it is a good idea to hand your drugs to the police officer.
Say, yo, dude, here. Hold my wallet, man.
hey, I got something in the first pot. Can you hand that to me?
Yeah, whoa.
You got a light?
Got a lighter? Just ignore the tin foil, man. It's all right. That's something else.
We do appreciate when they make it easy for us. All right. 2015 has been a great year here on the show. Thanks to you, the viewers. We thank you very much for watching, for sharing the information with us, and also for sharing some information with your friends and neighbors to help keep them safe. And we will be looking for you again in the new year, but hopefully not in the lineup on Calhoun County's Most Wanted.